All right, well, today we're finishing off our series, The Weight of Your Words. The weight of your words. This is probably one of the most practical topics when it comes to when it comes to following Jesus, when it comes to setting ourselves up for success and bringing change to our workplaces, friendships, and families. We started off last week by looking at the fact that words can shape our world, and that people who follow Jesus are told, hey, if you follow Jesus, you can't use words in a way that brings other people down. We don't get that pass. A way to remember this instruction that came to us from the Apostle Paul was that if your words aren't building someone, they're breaking someone. So if you follow Jesus, part of following Jesus means the words, how we say the words that we say, and everything that they matter. This is just how we're meant to live. And I think if you don't follow Jesus, it's still a good way to live, to use our words to build other people up. People who are honest, who seek the best for other people, who use their words wisely, they're just the best friends, they're amazing co-workers, and they make great family members. So today we're going to close out our time by combining some human thinking with God's wisdom to hopefully lead us in the way of transformed living. So to start us off, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever, in a conversation, uttered some words to somebody else, and then you thought to yourself, once you saw their reaction, oh, that landed heavier than I had intended? Have you ever been in that situation? You're having a conversation and you think you're just being honest and open and kind, and you say something and then you watch them and their demeanor changes and they just start to shift, and you think, oh wow, they've received that much heavier than I had intended to give that. An example from my life is that when I was younger, I was a youth leader, and I was in year 12, and I was in charge of a small group of guys, and we were having a conversation in our small group time one night, and this guy was talking about, life, the universe, and everything. We started talking about getting a girlfriend. And so he was saying how he wants to get a girlfriend, and I, in all of my amazing wisdom, I was in year 12, I had a girlfriend for about 3 months at that point, so I knew a lot. And he was talking about this, so I thought to myself, I could help you. And so I gave him some advice, and I thought, this is going to be helpful for you because there's some stuff around his character at the time that I thought, hey, if you want to get a girlfriend, if you just look at a couple of these things you're doing, I think you're going to increase your chances, mate. I gave him that advice, his demeanor changed, and I realized, that landed much heavier than I had intended. I thought I was being helpful, but for a second there, it looked like I absolutely shattered his world. And when I was thinking about it, and upon reflection, why did that land so hard? Why did those words hit him so hard? And I think it's to do with the fact of where it came from. He's there, he's a year 10, he's got this year 12 leader of his group, and he's looking and saying, there's a power difference, I'm the one who's meant to be in charge. And I think that he just took those words with much more weight than I had intended to give them. And you've experienced this before in your own world, because the reality is that some voices just carry more weight. And it's not because of how loud they speak, but it's because of where they come from and the relationship behind them. So if you want to think about a few spaces where this happens, think about a parent's words and how they shape children. For better or for worse, a careless comment said from a parent to a child can echo for decades down the track in that child's life. Or you think about a teacher, the way that teachers have the ability to ignite confidence or kill curiosity with just a simple sentence. All it takes is a teacher at the right moment saying the right thing. Hey, you've got potential. I can see there's more to you. And that can just bring someone alive. But at the same time, a teacher saying, well, you're not good at this, and why can't you be more like that other kid, can crush a spirit. A boss's feedback, this is important, especially if you have people underneath you. A boss's feedback, it doesn't just land on the task as much as you think it lands on the task. It actually hits the person's value. Praise can empower people, but criticism can crush them. Think about other dynamics you may not be aware of, like a landlord to a tenant. A landlord represents security and stability, and if a landlord comes along and says, I think we have to increase rent, that hits way differently because it's something, your home could be on the line. Or within the family dynamic, an older sibling to a younger sibling. An older sibling can shape how a younger one views themselves, their world, and their faith. And it might be teasing, but sometimes those sort of words can stick. And then you have adults years down the track going to counselling saying, hey, when I was younger, my sibling said this, and it just hit in my heart, and it stuck there, and it informed how I saw things. These relationships amplify the weight of our words because there's trust, there's dependence, there's authority, and there's power. So it's not always just about the words that we're saying, but it's about being aware of the position they come from and how it's felt by the other person. So lucky for us, Paul wrote a document 2,000 years ago that helps direct us. He actually wrote a famous piece of writing used at a lot of weddings. And I'm going to read a part of it out now from 1 Corinthians 13. And it talks about love, and it can help guide us a little bit in this space. So allow me to read that now. Paul writes, "If I speak in the tongues of men or angels but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries of knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains but I don't have love, I'm nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor, if I give my body over to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I have nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrong. Love doesn't delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres." So Paul is outlining to us, you can say all the right things, but without love, it is just weightless noise. He said, if I speak in the tongues of men or angels but don't have love, I'm just a noise. I'm just a resounding gong, a clanging cymbal. There's nothing there. So the words that we speak don't get their weight from the eloquence, but they get their weight from love and from the source that they come from. So a helpful framework to guide us as we think about the language that we use day to day and the peace that the language we use can bring to our day-to-day living is up there on the screen. Matt, you want to chuck it up there? This little framework might explain to you why some relationships feel a little strained and why some past hurts are still felt. Or it might explain how you have healthy relationships because someone exampled for you what this looks like, or you just happen to luck into it. But the framework is simply this. The source of words will determine the weight. That source is in two parts. One part is the who and the relationship that it represents, but also the place that those words are coming from. Are they coming from a place of insecurity, or are they coming from a place of strong identity and care for the other person? So the source will determine the weight that the person who is hearing those words feels. The weight is going to determine the impact that it has on an individual. And it's that impact that determines the outcome that it can have in their life. It's the reason why a teacher coming alongside a student and saying, I see something in you, the weight that that has leads to impact, that leads to an outcome of a student believing, I am a good student. It's why some of us carry wounds from our childhood because parents didn't come along and give us good words, but maybe our parents said things that had a lot of weight, a lot of impact, but they were negative or tearing us down or they weren't kind. So words don't get their weight from the eloquence, they get it from the source. They get it from where it's coming from. So when it comes to your words that you use, are you aware of this dynamic? Are you aware that when you speak to someone else and you speak lovingly and kindly, or you speak maybe harshly or with critique, are you aware of what you represent relationally, not just the words that you're saying to them? And are you aware that the weight the other person feels is what they will carry forward, not just the words that are being said? So let's break this down. Source determines weight. Is it coming from love or ego, from God or from self? When we think about the words that we say to other people, we've got to say, where is that coming from in our internal world? Are we bringing the best of ourselves and our internal world into the light so that other people can experience words that are confident and kind and honest? Is the source something that gives God intended weight, or is it coming from a place of maybe hurt or brokenness? One of the biggest things that tears down friendship circles is when someone is insecure and the words that they use and the source that they're drawing from project, I'm not sure if I'm in this or not. And there's almost like this sense of where these words coming from. They're coming from a source which is not good, and then it starts to erode the trust within a friendship. within a parenting situation when the source isn't good. But when the source is healthy and good, it's coming from a place of love and care for yourself and care for other people. It becomes life-giving. A loving whisper carries more weight than a loveless shout. Because without love, even truth can become harmful to other people. So we got to be asking ourselves, is the words I'm saying at the place that I am, is that healthy? Is that good? And am I aware of the dynamic that I represent to the other person? Sometimes it's peer-to-peer. Sometimes we think it's peer-to-peer, but there's actually a gap there. Parent to child, boss to co-worker, boss to worker, teacher to child. So we've got to ask ourselves, where's the source? Are we aware of that? Because that's going to determine the weight. Then the weight is going to determine the impact. Words spoken in love, we read in verses 4 to 6 of 1 Corinthians, says, love is patient, kind, it does not envy, does not boast, does not dishonor others, it's not self-seeking. Words spoken in love can heal, can guide, can restore people and lift other people up. They can bring life and set the direction for people going forward. But words that come without love, even if they're technically correct. Because sometimes, if I'm honest, I just want to be right. Has anyone else had that? You're having a conversation with someone, you think to yourself, I just want to be right. And so you put your words out there, and you're right. Like, you win the argument from a technical perspective. But it didn't come from a place of love, and you can end up losing within the relationship space. But Paul tells us that words that come with love are healing and guiding and restoring, and the ones that don't come from love are self-seeking and can be painful. One of the things to know where your words are coming from and the impact that it has on someone's life is to think about this. If your words are leaving a bruise on somebody, and when I say leaving a bruise, I don't mean physically leaving a bruise. I mean, if you have a good relationship with friends or co-workers or within the family and you find yourself saying something and then the next time they come back, they're a little bit more reserved or a little more tender or a little more distant. There's a bruise that's happened. Then maybe it's just an opportunity to check, am I speaking from a place of love or am I speaking from a place of self-serving, I just want to be right? Am I coming from a place of care for the other person, where I want the best for them, where I say words that aren't just true, but are best for them and best for the relationship? Or am I just saying things because, I just want to make sure I'm okay and I'm the one who's right anyway. They need to see things the way that I see them. Where is it coming from? If words leave a bruise, check what's giving them weight. Because the weight will determine the impact. And when you see someone get hurt, or when you see people get hurt from the words that we use, it's a chance to stop and evaluate, where's that coming from? What's going on inside of me? And then finally, impact determines outcome. Verse 7 says this about love. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, and it always perseveres. The outcome of our language, and I'm just talking about people who follow Jesus, the outcome of Jesus' followers' language should be protection, trust, hope, and perseverance. Cultures in our world rise and fall on this. The outcomes in our world that are good, that are God-honoring, that are loving, that are kind, that build people up, they come from a place of love that are looking out for other people. The outcome of harsh words is always going to be fear, shame, and the feeling of rejection. The outcome of weighty words spoken in love is that there will be trust and hope, protection and perseverance. I want you to think back to a time in your life where you felt fully confident in a relationship, where you felt truly loved. Maybe you're experiencing in your life right now some really good, close friendships. And there's something about the friendships or maybe your family dynamics you reflect and you hear what we're talking about and you go, yeah, I can see that evident in my relationships. Yeah, I can see that when people are considerate of the other person, there's kindness and love. When I see people talking from a place of wanting the best for others, maybe you can see that currently. But for some of us, maybe you think about it and you go, I don't know if I have relationships right now where I feel that that's happening. maybe you have an opportunity to bring that into some of your relationships. Maybe there's some friendships that are feeling strained, and rather than continue the same old format of just give back what you've received, maybe this is an invitation to think, I'm going to step into those relationships wanting to bring love and kindness and hope and be a source of joy for that relationship. Maybe in your family there's a little bit of strain, and maybe you need to, yes, they've said things, yes, they've done things, and I get all of that, and there's pain and everything. But maybe there's an opportunity in your family to step forward and say, I'm going to be a hope bringer, and I'm going to speak out words that are best for them. Not just that serve myself and look after me and making sure I get back at them because they got back at me. And even if they started it, like one of the things Jesus says is, it's like, when the kids are fighting and it comes to the attention of the parent. The parent's like, I don't care who started it, I'll finish it. You know that. God does that more lovingly. He encourages people who follow him. Jesus says, look, I understand you may not have been the one to even start the conflict, but you need to be the one that steps out and initiates love and initiates communication and initiates things. And it's not fair, and yes, they wronged you, and yes, they didn't do the right thing, and all of that. And Jesus says, I get all that. Jesus said, I went to a cross. I was wrongly accused. I shouldn't have been there. I was doing nothing but trying to bring just people knowing God loves you and everything, and I got killed. And then he still chose to, even in that moment, forgive them. So when it comes to us and our words and your relationships, bringing health or maintaining health in them, what I want you to hear from today is just simply this. Keep an eye on the source of where your words are coming from. Choose kindness. Choose to be curious. Choose to offer the benefit of the doubt when there's a chance for misunderstanding. And ask yourself, is the words I'm speaking bringing love? And is that what is giving the weight, or is it coming from another place? Be aware of the relationship you hold to the other person. Because I believe that when we have people that follow Jesus that do this well, that follow the words of Paul, that speak with love, that act with love, that embody love in our communities, our world is a better place. Our workplaces are better and more healthy. Our family dynamics are better. Yeah, you may not always be right and whatever, but the family is healthier. There's just so many things in our world that when we take our cue from Jesus, when we take our cue from the Apostle Paul, when we take our cue from the generations of Christians that have come before us, people who follow Jesus should with confidence stand up and say, I'm going to be a bringer of hope and love. I'm going to bring words of kindness, honesty, and compassion wherever I go, into all of my relationships. And when that happens, our community is better, our lives are better. And it's not just about being kind, kind communication. It's about having a mindset of kingdom communication that says, I want to build up the people around me. Let your words be rooted in love, weighted in grace, and aimed at healing. So here's a sticky statement to help you with what we've learnt today. It's simply this. Words without love make noise. It comes straight to us from Paul. Words without love make noise, but words with love make change. If you are unhappy with a workplace situation, if you are unhappy with a family dynamic, if you are unhappy with something in your life where there is a relational dynamic, maybe the reason is because there's just a lot of noise going on between you and the other person. And maybe it's time to bring words of love and maybe see if that makes a change. Now I want to be upfront. That is incredibly difficult to do. It looks nice on a screen. Words without love make noise. Words with love make change. The reality of doing that requires hard heart work. It requires an attitude shift. It requires forgiveness and letting go. It requires us to go back and address issues in our past so that we can go forward. It requires so many things. But when we look back at our past, when we deal with the things that have gone before us, and when we become healthier and follow Jesus closer, then we can start to be a source of love that speaks out into our families, our workplaces, and into our community. And the end result, more peace, more love, and a better world. So whether you're following Jesus or just trying to figure out whether he's worth following, if you start by making love your source, then you'll start to see your words carry the weight that they were meant to all along. Let me pray for you, and we're going to finish our time together. Father God, when we speak words without love that are noise, may you helpfully shut our mouths. When we want to speak words of love, but the source is still not coming from the right place, may you show us how to move forward in that area. And may we feel empowered as people to bring words of love into our families, into our workplaces, and into our community. Give us the boldness to say sorry when we need to encourage those around us, and to take accountability when we're wrong. In your name and for your glory. Amen.